Hey guys, so a few days ago on the 28th of May, a short film got released by the name of Kung Fury. Now, Kung Fury is a half an hour long short film that got released on YouTube, and it's completely free. If you want to go watch it, go ahead and do it. I'll link it in the description if you want a little shortcut, but I just wanted to sit and talk about it slash review it for you quickly. Now, I didn't hear about this film until it got released, but apparently it was actually released on a Kickstarter, and what I mean by that is they put out a campaign before its creation, for those of you that don't know, to actually have the public fund it. And basically, they made it based on the fact that people gave them money, and that's essentially proof that people wanted it. So it was guaranteed money in that respect. That's why it's able to go for free, I guess. It is directed, written, and stars David Sandberg, who I've never heard of before, and there's no reason I should have because he had to use Kickstarter. He's not famous, and that's not a problem, obviously. This is his vision, essentially. This is what he wanted to do, and this is what a film that he felt had to be made, and he tried to get people to give him money for it, and fair enough, they did. The public can choose whatever they want to watch, so I'm not here to dictate that. Originally, I wasn't going to talk about this film. I was pushed into watching it by a few people, and I was like, fine, I'll guess I'll do it, and I eventually did, and I'm kind of confused. Or more rather, I'm not really confused. I know exactly why people are raving about this film, but I personally don't see that much in it, and there's a few reasons for that which I'm going to go into. So you can get a lot about what the director was going for when I tell you the premise of Kung Fury. Basically, there's this cop called Kung Fury, and the movie opens with him taking down an arcade machine that kills kittens and people by holding up his middle finger and firing a laser at them. We get a backstory into this character, and apparently this guy called Kung Fury, he was one day when his partner was sliced in half, he was struck by lightning and bitten by a cobra, and that gave him visions of ancient China and an ancient sensei, and he instantaneously gained super kung fu powers, and then he was called Kung Fury. I mean, obviously this thing's not meant to be taken seriously, and I didn't expect it to be that way either. Don't get me wrong, I don't expect this to be freaking Romeo and Juliet or Oscar material. No, I don't think that's what it was meant to be, and it's not what it is anyway, so it hasn't failed me in that regard. But what it was meant to be was a super parody-ish of the 80s tropes and 80s cheese, and those 80s movies which are cheesy, but they're cheesy in a cool way. This movie tries to riff on that, and it tells one joke, and that one joke is, haha, look at me, I'm from the super Laserdisc era with lasers and cheesy dialogue and one-liners, an action hero with a gruff voice and muscles. And I can kind of see the appeal of that, but this movie has nothing else going for it. It is literally just riffing on nostalgia. It is praying to the people that are probably the ones who paid for it because they're old enough now that they can. It's preying on people that grew up during the 80s and have this nostalgic bone that needs to be tickled, and this movie's here to satiate that because we haven't gotten that in a while. Everything about it is catering to this crowd, even the aesthetic of the film. It looks like a VHS slash Laserdisc, and it occasionally has some distortion in it that is kind of playing to that thing that people who grew up in the 80s experience. But obviously, look at me, I didn't grow up in the 80s, so I don't see where they're I see where they're coming from, but I don't appreciate it the way some people should. And is that the film's fault? No, it can play to whichever demographic it wants. It was made out of a Kickstarter that essentially got money from people that wanted to see it, and I don't think it's disappointed those people. These people have gotten what they wanted, and because it was funded by them, can we really complain? They got what they wanted. Clearly this film's not for me, and I'm not going to pretend it's not. It's not for me. The problem I have is that too many people are going really mad with this film and giving it way more attention than it deserves. For some reason people are seeing this as some kind of revolution, like some kind of return to form. I don't want this to be a return to form. This isn't good. This isn't what I liked about 80s films. Like, I've seen 80s movies. It's just that I didn't grow up in an era where the action genre was dominated by that, so I don't appreciate it the same way. But I understand it. It's just that I don't have that nostalgia bone that's being tickled, as I've said. And I just don't get why people that are my sort of age, I'm 18 by the way, I don't understand why people my sort of age are going so nuts about this. I mean, fair play, it's so ridiculous that you can kind of get a chuckle out of it. I personally didn't, but I can see why someone could. Like, the bad guy is Hitler and his name's, and he practices this art called Kung Fuhrer. His partner is a cop called is a Triceratop cop. It's a Triceratop cop called Triceracop. It's that sort of thing. And there's one point where a police chief picks up a phone and Hitler's on the other end of it, and Hitler goes F you and starts firing into the phone and starts shooting up the police station by firing bullets through the phone. This never happened in the 80s, and obviously it's a parody of it. It's a hyper-realization of that. It's an exaggeration. Some would say it's a satire. I would not go that far, but you know, whatever suits. It is just, the problem is that that's all it is, and it doesn't do anything else. And I didn't expect this to be deep, let's be honest. I hope you know that I didn't expect this to be deep. I'm not stupid, but I did expect it to be a little bit funnier and to do a little bit more than just tell the same jokes. And it's got one thing to say. It's got one thing, and that's 80s was fun, wasn't it? Look how silly this is. It's got nothing else to say. Everything else is boring, and it's. I mean, I'm sure some people are going to get a lot out of it. I'm sure some people are going to enjoy it. Obviously, they have. The ratings suggest they have. And I'm glad that the people who paid for this movie got what they wanted. I'm really glad that people who grew up in the 80s were able to relive, to some extent, that nostalgia that they felt when they were younger. I'm really glad that we live in a time where people are able to do that. If they want it, they can just buy it. And they can make it happen with their own wallets. That's fine. I just don't understand why it's gotten such a huge following from it, and they're going to make another one. If people want another one, that's their problem. I will no doubt watch it, but it doesn't bother me. It's a free movie on YouTube. It's nothing to get upset about. I just think, personally, that people are going a little bit too far with it, and I don't like the idea of a movie getting more credit than it deserves just because it takes the chance to be a little bit goofy and ridiculous and subvert the norms and go out of the box. You know, it's not. People are treating it like a revolution, and it really isn't one. It's a relatively enjoyable time for some people, even though it only tells one joke, and that one joke has all it's got going for it, and it didn't start off funny for me, it didn't end up funny for me. So, I mean, I give it a 3 out of 10, you know. I think it's really dreadful. The only saving grace is that it's half an hour long, but fair play, it's not for me, so don't take that as something you should go by. It's half an hour long, you may as well go watch it, see what people are talking about, but don't come out of it and hype it beyond relief just because it dares to be a little bit different. I mean, you say it dares to be a little bit different, but it got paid by people to be a little bit different. It had a guaranteed viewer base. It didn't take any chances. If it didn't get money from the Kickstarter, then it didn't get money. It didn't waste any money from giving out a concept. Let's not give it too much credit. It was guaranteed. And we're seeing movies in the cinema right now from Hollywood, like Tomorrowland, which I haven't seen. I don't know how good it is. But that movie is apparently not doing so well. It's kind of bombing, actually. And this is from a director, Brad Bird, who's done some great movies. Did The Incredibles, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. He has a lot of talent. And the reception's been lukewarm. And you realise that they're the movies that are taking risks. And movies like Tomorrowland are movies we should be celebrating for trying. For putting not necessarily a big director, he's not huge, but a competent director that we know has stuff from the past that is really good. And we should be assigning to these projects. And I feel bad for Disney. And this is going to go off onto a Disney thing now. I feel bad for Disney because they do try quite often. Tomorrowland is a completely original thing, but you've seen it with non-original movies like John Carter and The Lone Ranger. They've completely bombed. I mean, they've just cancelled Tron 3, and I guess that's a good thing because Tron Legacy was very average, but you got to give them credit for trying, and we'd never seen stuff like John Carter and The Lone Ranger on screen before, as far as I'm aware, so it was nice to see that. And although it's not original, it's original in terms of cinema, and that's not necessarily an excuse. But either way, Tomorrowland, completely original, not doing very well. That movie's taking a risk. Let's support that movie to some extent. Let's see if that movie's any good. Let's pay to find out and pay to show that even if the movie's not good. We want to see movies like that that are good. Movies like that that really push the boat out, even if that one didn't. Kung Fury, let's not lie here, is not taking any risks. It was guaranteed to be watched by people and it was already prepaid. Don't big it up beyond belief. It doesn't deserve it. Thank you so much for watching this review / rant, unfortunately. I really appreciate you watching. If you like this video, please like and favourite. If you really like to, please subscribe. There will be more normal reviews coming, less so rants unless I feel it's worth it. If you enjoyed the rant though, give me the feedback. If you want to get a discussion, if you really like the movie, please comment. Don't feel intimidated by my opinion by any means. I doubt you are. It's not that impressive. And if you didn't like the movie, comment as well. It would be nice to hear if someone else thinks the same way I do. But anyway, this video was way too long for a half-hour movie, so I'll let you get away. But thank you very much for watching.